Hey guys, it's Chelsea from The Financial Diet, and this week's video is brought to you by Wealthsimple. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about ways in which you can change your financial life for not a lot of money. And in many ways, when you don't have a ton of money to work with starting out, the best way you can impact your financial life with that small amount of money is to reshape how you think about money. Because no matter what current income or savings level you're at, you always have the opportunity to reshape your relationship to money. You can work on your habits and the psychological and emotional elements of money without ever spending a dollar. And with just $100, you can put plans into place that will make the savings goals you have much easier to reach and make your overall relationship to money much healthier. We picked $100 because it's a pretty accessible amount of money for most people to get a hold of, and Erin actually did a really cool video about creative ways to save an extra $100. So you can watch hers first and then watch this one to learn what to do with it. We'll link you to hers in the description. So here are 4 ways to change your financial life with just $100. Number 1 is to create 5 dedicated bank accounts for 5 different goals with $20 each. So the strategy of having multiple accounts which correlate to different specific goals is actually a wildly effective strategy that's often practiced by people who are really good with money and who maybe even have a lot of it. Tasha, who hosts the Lifestyle Fix here on TFD every Friday, actually did a video recently with her partner Joseph about how they have 20 different bank accounts. She breaks down what they use them for and how it's helped them reach their goals. We'll link you to that video in the description. But you don't have to have 20 bank accounts. You can just start with 5. So pick 5 things that you are actively working towards outside of your regular savings account, which should be your emergency fund, and your checking account, which is for day-to-day cash needs. Obviously, if you don't already have a checking account or an emergency fund, you should try and have those too. But this is really for a slightly higher level savings strategy. Once you have picked and started your 5 special savings accounts, change the name of each account from the randomly generated account number to the name of the specific goal, ideally along with the date that you need to have reached it and the amount that you want to have in there. You want to make sure that each account is labeled to be an additional motivator around that specific goal and that it adds clarity to what you need to do to get there. And each account can be set up with unique automatic ongoing transfers to help you reach the goal at the right pace and at the right budget. And there are huge practical benefits to using this method as well as psychological ones. One big reason multiple savings accounts work so well is they help you stay motivated to reach your goals. Your savings become more tangible when you know you have $2,000 in your emergency fund, $1,000 ready for that new set of wheels, and $500 for your tropical getaway versus just $3,500 total. Watching each account grow every month can help you stay excited about saving. And not only does having to pick those 5 specific goals and really work toward them help clarify what's important, it also makes it so that the money in these savings accounts is way more precious to you than if it were just an abstract lump sum sitting in one account. Having these really tangible accounts can prevent you from overspending, because let's say you want to buy something kind of impulsively that's like 50 bucks. If you have one amorphous blob of money in an account, it's so easy to justify skimming that 50 bucks off the top and putting it towards something you don't actually really need or want. Whereas if you can see that you're maybe $50 away from a really important goal you want to reach that's clearly labeled, suddenly that $50 has way more meaning and value to you. You realize that you're not just taking $50 out of some account, you're taking that money away from a trip you want to take or a class you want to sign up for or something that's really meaningful to you. Taking that $100 and using it to start these dedicated accounts doesn't just help you see your own money clearly, it helps you really understand what goals are actually important to you. Number 2 is take that $100 and do a 1-day crash course with money. A really good thing to do, ideally once a year, is to take a day that is dedicated just to getting a full perspective on your own financial situation and learning more about how to do money, and doing it in a totally undistracted way because you've dedicated the whole day to it. Treat it as your grown-ass woman or man day, where you pick a Saturday and dedicate it to that total financial housekeeping. By the way, doing it on a Saturday means you get it out of the way and still have Saturday night and Sunday to enjoy. The cost here will vary slightly depending on what you want to do, but it should be absolutely possible to do it under $100, including a treat yourself moment to reward yourself for having taken the time to do it, but also to make you actually look forward to the experience so you're more likely to accomplish it. Here are the steps to your big financial day. 1, check up on your net worth for free. If you use a budgeting app like Mint, it's very easy to do this for free just by looking at your account. But if you don't, you can also just do it manually by adding up, obviously, all of your assets and taking away your debts. And we'll provide an easy formula for you guys in the description to figuring out your own net worth. But either way, it's something that you should be able to do fairly easily and should be doing regularly. And by the way, if because of things like student debt, you have a negative net worth, do not think that that makes you inherently bad with money. It just means that right now you happen to have more debts or liabilities than you do assets. But it is just as important at a negative net worth to keep regular track of this and work on building it and helping what you can in the short term. Number 2 is to pull your credit report. And if you do end up going with a credit monitoring service, which can be helpful if you're looking to build credit, that can be up to about $16, but just pulling your credit is usually free with sites like Credit Karma. Number 3 is to sign up for a financial literacy e-course. This tends to range around the $50 mark. So e-courses are a really, really good way to get a lot of the basics that you didn't learn in school in a really condensed environment. In one day, you can knock out an entire course if it's on the shorter side, or you can start with the first few lessons of an ongoing class. There are e-courses that will give you an overview of the basics, and also ones that will give you more detailed info on applying some of these financial strategies to specific areas of your life. One example is the Core 4 of Personal Finance from Udemy. It's only $20 and often on sale, and in 3.5 hours, it covers the 4 basic pillars of personal finance and preps you for a lot of the day-to-day realities of handling money as an adult. Plus, it has a 4.5 rating based on over 1,000 student reviews and was co-created by a CFA and CPA. For the record, they're not a sponsor. It's just an example of a good e-class that could work for you. When it comes to getting good with money, there are courses on literally almost every question you could have or almost any area you need to work on. The point is, dedicating yourself to this really concentrated time of learning is a great way to make sure that you're doing what you need on a regular basis to not just stagnate by doing the bare minimum with your money, but are really understanding your options and pursuing the opportunities that matter to you. And of course, we have a little bit left over in that $100 budget to treat yourself. We recommend setting up a little takeout and wine night, maybe put on a good Netflix movie that you've been waiting to watch, and really just enjoy the feeling of having done something really good for yourself as a grown-up. Treating this as a moment to celebrate, which it very much is, will keep you on track with actually completing your day and will make you feel really good about doing it again, because we do think it's something you should have on an ongoing basis in your life. Number 3 is to officially start investing. And I know that you guys know that we have banged this drum many a time here on TFD, but it's because it's just so important. And one of the hardest elements of investing is getting started when you're at absolute zero, because it can feel overwhelming and confusing. And let's be honest, you probably don't want to imagine yourself as ever being in a place where you would actually need, let's say, a retirement account. And as a result, unfortunately, women invest less and they invest later than men. Only 53% of millennial women are saving for retirement versus 71% of millennial men. And that's a gap we have every power to close. But statistically, women feel less confident about investing. And part of that may be due to the fact that on the whole, we do earn less money. But the thing about investing is there is almost no such thing as too small an amount to start, and $100 is a perfect amount. Just following average market return rates, that $100 has the possibility of turning into hundreds, even in the 4 figures by the time retirement comes around. And that version of you will exist and will want that money. And if you're someone who tends to be a little bit lazy and avoidant when it comes to money, that's actually an amazing asset when it comes to investing, because one of the most important qualities with investing is being really patient and not touching that money even through market fluctuations. If you see a number dip, it can be very easy to panic, and that's one of the worst things you can do. In fact, Ken Heasy, co-founder and president of Heasy Advisory Group in St. Louis, says investors can develop patience by being aware of their own behavioral perception. He uses an arrow as an analogy. When you look at an arrow that's pointing up, your mind assumes that the arrow will continue to move in that direction. The same is true if the arrow points down. And this type of thinking also applies to investing. And if you think that investing is just watching your money sit there, that's somewhat true, but there's huge psychological benefits to just sitting there and watching it grow. Research has shown that demonstrating to yourself the discipline and patience needed to save money, especially in the long term, has huge psychological benefits in your overall life. They add to our overall senses of optimism, confidence, and assertiveness. It's easy to be cynical when all of your hard work barely floats you from one paycheck to the next, but research shows that saving something, no matter how small, can gradually build a sense of optimism. Watching a fledgling bank account grow helps us feel like we're working towards something greater and gives us the traction we need to find new ways to save more and save faster. The point is, obviously, investing has huge benefits to the long term of your life, but it also hugely benefits you in the day-to-day. And taking $100 to get started on that road, if you haven't already, is one of the most powerful things you can do with that money. Lastly, to change your financial life with just $100, you can learn what your time is worth and pay for wasting it. An often really overlooked element of our financial lives is learning what our time is actually worth, because often that time is more valuable even than money. And this is a challenge that will help teach you what your money is worth and make you feel the pain of wasting that time. It's actually something I've written about before on the site, and I'll link you to that in the description. In order to do this challenge, you start by finding out what your hourly wage is. Obviously, if you are paid an hourly wage, that number is obvious, but if you are a salaried worker, you can easily find this by dividing your salary by the number of hours you're working in a given year. If you're a freelancer, you do the same thing by averaging out what you make every month and doing the same division. And then taking that $100, you challenge yourself for a week to transfer money into a special account for wasted time every single time you waste an hour. It could be things out of your control, like waiting in a line for a really long time, or it could be when you watch a show that you didn't really enjoy and regret having watched. Either way, take those few seconds to transfer that money and write down what you were doing at the time you wasted. And it's important here to divide between time that doesn't necessarily add market value to your life versus time that literally does not benefit you at all. For example, you may find that hanging out with a friend on the couch, catching up for a few hours, yes, takes a lot of your free time and doesn't necessarily bring you more money, but it's also something that adds enormously to the emotional value of your life. Identifying wasted time is about identifying things that have no real benefits, be they financial or professional or personal or emotional or what have you. The point is to start to force yourself to see what the time you wasted actually costs you in terms of value, to understand not just what it means when you waste that money, but what you could be doing with that time instead, and in what ways you could challenge yourself to remove a lot of those self-imposed wasteful hours on your life. When you're done with the week's challenge, you can take the money from your wasted time account and put it towards something that really adds value to your life, or you can decide to continue the challenge, maybe for a month, and see just how many times you can identify that time and therefore money of your life which was wasted, see the value of it, and challenge yourself to do better with that time. It's a simple psychological experiment, but it's really profound in helping you understand that not just the times in which you are receiving a paycheck is time that is valuable. Not every hour of our lives is ever going to be totally accounted for, but we can definitely become more conscientious and discerning about how we're spending each hour. And in all of these cases, the most important thing to remember is that no matter how little money we may be working with at any given moment, it is always in our power to change our habits with money and to restructure how we think about it. And in doing so, how we think about ourselves. We are incredibly valuable, and we should treat ourselves as such, even if we don't necessarily have the income or net worth that we're hoping to have one day. It is never too early to start getting good with money, and there's never too little money to start getting good with. And if, as I mentioned in point 3, you are maybe thinking about getting started with investing, I highly recommend checking out Wealthsimple. Wealthsimple is an online investing service that is as simple and human as it gets. They'll build you a custom portfolio to fit your personal needs, goals, and timeline. Just answer a few simple questions about your financial goals, and they'll manage it for you on autopilot. Set it, forget it, let it go to work in the background, and drown out the noise along the way. They also offer a socially responsible investing portfolio that invests in companies that support gender diversity. You can set up automatic deposits from your bank account, as well as set up a smart savings account with higher rates than big banks for your shorter term goals, your wedding, your next adventure, or that handbag you need. The fees are much lower than traditional investors, and TFD viewers get a $50 cash bonus for getting started. Check them out at wealthsimple.com/TFD or use the link in our description. You can get started with literally $1 and it only takes a few minutes. No excuses. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to come back every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday for new and awesome videos. Bye!